Ya, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farid Muchsin. I represent my group to open this video to explain about language and mind. Enjoy the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is LESEN. I'm from Group 7 and our group will explain about psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics is a branch of study which combines the discipline of linguistics and psychology. There are three main topics that will be explained in psycholinguistics. The topic is acquiring language, comprehend language, and produce language. First, I want to explain about how human acquiring language. Language acquisition is a process by which humans acquire the capacity to perceive and comprehend language as well as produce and use words and sentences to communicate. There are two opinions about how human acquiring language. The first opinion is nativist opinion. According to nativists, language is inherently innate. They believe that children are born with a special, unique talent which allow humans to understand or master language without having to get teaching. Chomsky, as a nativist, has theory that humans cannot possibly learn the first language from other people. According to Chomsky, language can only be mastered by humans. Animals cannot possibly master human language. This opinion is based on assumption. First, language behavior is something that's inherited. The pattern of language development is the same in all kinds of language and culture. And the environment has only a small role in the process of language maturation. Second, language can be mastered in a short time. For example, a 4-year-old child can speak similar to adults. Third, the child's language environment cannot sufficient data for mastering the complex grammar of adults. Chomsky states that humans have faculties of the mind, which is a kind of intellectual plot in their brains. One of them is for language. This natural plot brought from birth by Chomsky is called the language acquisition device. According to the behaviorists, the ability to speak and understand language by children obtained through stimulation from their environment. Children are considered as a passive recipient of environmental pressure and don't have an active role in the process of developing verbal behavior. The process of language development is mainly determined by the length of training that's given by the environment. For example, a child say milk to milk. Certainly, the child will criticize by her or his mother or anyone who hears the word. If one day the child says milk correctly, the child will not get criticized by her mother because the pronunciation is correct. Whether it is inborn or learned are futile because both opinions are important. Innate potentially lie down on framework, and within these frameworks there is wide variation depending on environment.
I want to explain about the rule-governed nature of child language. So, children might imitating and hear many words from around them, but psycholinguists agree that children not simply imitating what they hear. Their learning process involved are far more complex. From they begin to talk, children seem like they are aware that language is rule-governed. When they first use negative, they always put no in front of the sentence. For example, is like no play that. They always put no in front of the sentence. They also insert negative after the noun phrase. For example, is doggy no bite. The doggy is noun phrase and no, this is a negative. So the children are not hear the sentences from an adult. They create their own rule that easier to understand. The children only understand about regular plural. They just add s after the word. For example, is man, foot, gooses. But the correct word is man, feet, and geese. Children use a simpler rule to understand the language. Is a child might use word what in praise with a single verb like what mommy doing, and it can be more and more extended to other verbs like what kitty eating. And when the children learning about irregular past tenses, they produce form like catch it and good, but the correct is cow and went. So the children discovered a new formulate by their own way to understand the language easily. Next material is learning the meaning of words. We not only learn about the syntax and the sounds to learn language, but we should learn about the meaning of word too. The researchers agree that the meaning of word is interesting thing to research because one word have not only one meaning. Every child have different mind to understand the meaning of word. Their mind will produce a different meaning of word according to the context. So researchers interest to analyze this case.
Hi, my name is TIARA. I want to explain about doing it by hands and recognizing words. I will explain about doing it by hands for the first. The urge to communicate is strong in humans, and those who cannot hear can be taught sign language. Sign language is a full language in every way, but it is important for children to start acquiring it young. Deaf children with deaf parents start signing earlier and quickly become more proficient than deaf children with hearing parents. For example, I want to practice about ASL. What is ASL? ASL is American Sign Language. It's like hello, yes, no, bye. Okay, next I will explain about recognizing words. Okay, I want to explain about recognizing words. Understanding speech is not the simple matter it appears to be at first sight. Most people assume that comprehension involves being a passive recipient of someone else's message. This assumption turns out to be quite wrong. For a start, it is physically impossible to recognize its separate sound. Speech is just too fast. Understanding language is an active, not a passive process. Here's jump to conclusion on the basis of partial information. For example, listeners were asked to interpret the following sentence in which the first sound of the final word was indistinct. Paint the fence and the 8. Check the calendar and the 8. Here's the fishing gear and the 8. The subject claimed to hear gate in the first sentence and date in the second sentence and last paid in the third sentence. Okay, thank you.
My name is Farid Muchsin. I want to explain about syntax. In general, syntax means a set of grammar rules in word or clause information sentence. Usually, in written or conversational sentence, we see syntax elements in word or clauses that we usually refer to as subject, verb, and object. Subject, verbs, and objects in the syntax rule are always in order. For example, look at this sentence. Both of them love each other. In this example sentence, the subject is both of them, and then the verb is love, and the object is each other. All the components of the subject, verb, and sequel object show what is syntax. That's it. The second one, I will explain about speech production. Speech production is the process by which the mind talks to speech. This includes choosing words, organize relevant grammatical forms, and then articulating sounds produced by the motor system using vocal apparatus. Speech production, we could say like, how do we say the sentence? For example, apple of baskets. That is wrong sentence. The right sentence is the baskets of apples. And then in the winter, the parent helped the child tie its coats. Is the wrong sentence. The right sentence is, in the winter, the parent helped the child tie its boots. That's it. I think it's enough. Thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
What is speech disorder? Speech disorder affect person's ability to form the sounds that allow them to communicate with other people. They are not the same as language disorder. Speech disorder prevents people from forming correct speech sounds, while language disorder affects a person's ability to learn a word or understand what others say to them. However, both speech and language disorder can make it more difficult for a person to express their thoughts and feelings to others. Language and the brain. The human brain is divided into two human hemispheres. The left hemisphere is the logical brain and is involved in language and analysis, and the right hemisphere is the creative brain, involved in daydreaming and imagination. The left hemisphere controls the right side of the body, while the right hemisphere controls the left side. The earliest research on speech and language center of the brain dates back to the early 19th century. Physicians noted that brain-injured patients with damage to the left hemisphere would lose power of speech and language ability, while those with injuries to the right hemisphere did not lose this ability. Recent studies have shown that in around 97% of people, language is represented in the left hemisphere. However, in about 19% of left-handed people, the area responsible for language are in the right hemisphere, and as many as 68% of them have same language abilities in both of the left and the right hemisphere.